Hi everybody and welcome. Woohoo! Here we are. Wow, I hope you guys had a good Christmas day. I'm going to just check the sound and get straight into it. But let's go check that out as we're moving. So let me just update that. And I'm just going to check the sound, folks. Make sure we're all ready to go. Here we go. All right, let's test that out. So looks pretty good to me. So we're going to get into it, folks. And don't forget, at the moment we've got a poll out at the moment, and of course we've got how much do you intend to sacrifice for the PulseX sacrifice. So how much do you intend to sacrifice for the PulseX sacrifice, which is expected to start before the end of this year? So only in the next few days, really. I mean, obviously in New Zealand here it's the 27th, and it's about 5:20 p.m. On the 27th, Monday. And so obviously this is a bit ahead of most people in the world, but just about everybody. But hey, that's what we got. So how much do you intend to sacrifice? We've got 8 votes already. Get in there and fill out that poll. We've got first category is 51,000 USD or over, and then the next category is 21,000 to 50,000, and then the next category is 6,000 to 20,000, and then the final category under 5K USD at the moment. So the biggest percentage of people during the Pulsechain sacrifice was under the 5K mark. So I expect that to win out, and then onwards and upwards after that. So we're going to quickly check that. That is the poll. So if we go to the Pulsechain sacrifice, you can see from the Pulsechain one, we got most of the sacrifices under 5,000. So that's all these people here. That's the majority. Then of course, 10 to 20. What have I got there? 10 to 20. 6 to 20. So 6 to 20 there is sort of in this group, and then 21 to 25 to 50 is kind of in this group here, and then of course 50 and above is kind of all these people here. So that's that was about maybe 1,400 people or wallets, we should say, and there's a better way of putting it, the wallet address. So that's pretty much it. We've got 14 votes already. Really cool. Now, I hope you guys had a great Christmas Day, Boxing Day. Maybe you got a bit of shopping done. Maybe you got some real cool presents. But most important thing, of course, you got to spend time with family and friends and have some good chow as well, or you got up to some pretty cool gaming if you like gaming. That's pretty much the way it goes. So let me just get into the chat here, and we're going to open up. We've got a cool topics today. I've actually prepared a presentation around the title of this video. Let me just remember what I wrote there. PulseX Tokenomics. So we're going to cover that. 10,000x Pumpamentals. Of course, Richard talking about 10,000x. It's a nice base number to base off. PulseX Sacrifice Gamification. We're going to talk about that. And that's the actual sacrifice, like Pulsechain sacrifice was. And we're also obviously going to check out the Hex price chart and analysis. So hopefully you'll pick up a few things here. Like every YouTuber out there for the Hex, the Pulsechain, they all have the different perspectives. So hopefully this adds something into that when we go through presentation. So it should be a lot of fun. Let me get into the chat there. We've got brownies in the house. Damn, now I'm too early. And then we've got what do cryptocurrency investors do for fun? They yodel. Nice one, I like that. And brownies in the house. Woohoo! Yeah, that's the way I feel. Brownie says audio is good. It's great to hear. And Crypto Heartbeat's in the house. Hey, great to see Crypto Heartbeat. Love those interviews on Crypto Heartbeat's channel. Big shout out Crypto Heartbeat. They're very cool. And I also like the fireplace scene in the background. That's pretty nice as well. Scott Duff's in the house live. Love the work you're doing. Oh, I love the work you're doing. Thank you for keeping us updated. Hey, pleasure there, Scott, and great to see you in the chat. Brownie says, CHB, loved your last live stream. Yeah, he's doing some great stuff out there. So go check out Crypto Heartbeat's channel if you haven't. A lot of people have, of course. It's one of the biggest channels now in Hex and Pulsechain and PulseX. Definitely go check it out. It's a very cool show. Nate Dogg's in house. Yo, cranking these podcasts out. Nice one, bruv. Yeah, I actually took it. It took about 2 day 2-day holiday from doing live streams and stuff, but definitely doing the daily vids. Those will be the bread and butter, reporting on the results for Hex. And then soon we're going to have Pulsechain and PulseX to report on, and so they'll be just incorporated. I'll probably change the format to make sure the videos are sub 20 minutes. That's probably the key there. Crypto BO4's in house. Good day, sir. Hey, good day, Canada E. I love Canada. Good one. And DHex says, hey, bro, looks like a winner. I'm just not sure about the one-sided stake pool. We're going to go back to the homepage there. Looks like a winner. Not sure what a one-sided stake pool. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that possibly having. And BJM says, why the dump? Well, we're still in the trading range, but this is what happens when you have quiet period. This is the worst thing in a chart, especially after it's gone up so hard, is having the quiet period. That's why we're going to talk about that when we get onto the chart, but definitely something I've been keeping aware of there. Nate Dog says, how do Kiwis find sheep in long grass? Very satisfying. I have no idea, but you'll have to ask the farmers. Actually, the number of farmers in New Zealand is reducing, so not many people are going to get that joke so much, so pretty cool. Refined, what dump? Yeah, it's not really dumped. It's still in the trading range. That's a good point there, Refined. But obviously, you're expecting it to break out at 32.5 cents. Hasn't done that yet, so and we've definitely got a bit of selling in there during the break. We've got Dave Danzer and house, big fans. Thanks for everything. Hey, David, do appreciate that. Big shout out to you. And PS Joe says, good evening from Austin, Texas. Happy to see another live stream. Hey, PS Joe, good to see you. Yeah, I see that there's a couple of live streams on today. People definitely, after maybe a day or two break, back into it. That's how hardcore, the growing community is for Pulsechain, PulseX, and Hex, of course. Very cool. Hey, John Carrera is in the house. Hey, a Hex Token channel member. Great to see you in the house. Let's go, bro. Absolutely, John. And great pleasure to see you in there. New things in the house as well. Hey, bro. Very, very cool. And Anton Health, you missed the punchline. How do they find their sheep in the long grass? I was trying to avoid it, Anton. I don't know. How do they find the sheep in the long grass, Anton? How do they find it? Let us know. And Mark Carnito's in the house. Still big stakes ending for another week. That's correct, Mark. You're absolutely right on that. We will watch that, of course. Very satisfying is the punchline. Okay. Sorry, I missed that one, Anton. I do apologize. That's terrible, but I do apologize for not getting that straight away. Javi is in the house. Hex is just going back to its 14-day EMA and exponential moving average at 26 cents. So that's Javia's one there. And hey, you might not be too far off there with that one, Javi. We'll watch it in the meantime. We're going to get into that. So here we are. You know how I roll. Hex.com is where we start off because that's the product that's live, that's kicking away over 2 years in the making. Up over 20,000x at some stage with the staking included. So pretty huge, pretty massive there. We've also obviously got Pulsechain. We had the sacrifice. The sacrifice was over officially, and that was all the way back in July, end of the 3rd of August, 19 days long. And of course, we're going to get into that as well because that the PulseX sacrifice is going to be similar to this. There'll be a few tweaks around the edges, is my guess, but that's going to be pretty cool on that. That's on pulsechain.com. Remember, I leave all the links in the video descriptions, not of this one, but in all the daily vids you see. Most of the links are all there to add to your own collection. And if you're invested, of course, you should, take those, save them, understand every product, every site, and get into it. It's really just good practice as an investor. Very, very cool. The volume multiplier bonus, we're going to look at that. That's probably going to be in there too. And obviously, Pulsechain goals are going pretty cool. We're on Pulsechain Testnet 2.0. We're going to check that out as well. We've got lots to talk about. But the main thing for today is the presentation on the tokenomics and gamification as far as we know so far. So we're going to get into that. BJM says, last chance to buy a dip before PulseX. That's right. So we're going to talk about that because I think there's going to be a bit of a move on that too, BJM. Really does depend on how the whales gamify this PulseX as well. Last chance to buy a dip before PulseX, yeah. All right, so let's get into the price of Hex at the moment. Here we are on the old chart, 27.6 cents at the moment. And we're at the bottom of the trading range that we've been in for a couple of days now, 6 days. So we did fail to, as I said in my daily vid, we have really failed to hit 32.5. Now, typically you have 2 or 3 chat goes at it. And so now we're still in the trading range, but we're definitely on 3 red days here. But once again, the sacrifice is any day now, and we don't have long to go. Here is how many days we've got to go, not long. We got bam, we're going to go into there. So we've got 3 days maximum. So it's either going to be out tomorrow, is my guess. That's kind of how I feel about it. I thought it would be out today, the 27th. Now I am in the future, so it could still happen on the 27th. But any time before the end here is when it's going to expected to happen. And of course, the earlier the better. Getting in earlier the better is going to be similar to Pulsechain. Getting in there the first day or two. Now we're going to see what we're going to get a nice green candle when it launches, and then we might see a sell-off after that. That's kind of what I'm expecting, but you just never know. We could get. I'm expecting a green candle to kick it off, but after that, you just don't know what the big players are going to do there. So we'll watch out for that for sure. That is the price on the daily there, and of course you can see the hourly. We're going to jump to that just now, and you can see the hourly there. We tried to do it a couple times, once, twice, and then we started weakening off here. We're still in the trading range though, and the bottom of that's like 26.5 cents, somewhere like that. So we certainly want to hold that. We have, we've got a little bit of room, and be cool if we just start moving back up from there. But we've definitely got a bit more weakness in there with the volumes selling off. And that was interesting just at the end of around the close of today's day 755. We got a bit of selling off there. It's interesting around the end of the hour. Sometimes it's because sometimes you have stakes come out, like you've got OG stakes and they've been in there say for 2 years or whatever. Sometimes they sell off a bit after the day of close, and they get that unstake and they go, oh my gosh, I've made all this USD, and then they sell some of it. So you do see that from now and then as well. So interesting stuff there. She's in the house. The whole Hex community, and especially the whales, is already in at Pulsechain, and probably the same with PulseX. Who's going to be there after launch to pump price further? I think there's going to be a lot, a lot, and the PulseX swap is going to bring. It's going to be unbelievable. It's going to bring so many people from all the yield farmings, from all the other projects, Atrium, all of them. They're all going to be there. It's going to be madness. It's going to be madness, Sheesh. What Richard set up with the harvesting AMM bot is crazy. Pumpamentals. So, Sheesh, I wouldn't worry too much about that. You're going to see massive growth in the number of Pulseskins around, and obviously Hexkin's going to flow onto that as well. It's going to be crazy, crazy big. PS Joe says it makes sense to launch Monday with Christmas on Saturday and Boxing Day. It does there, PS Joe. And pump the like, pump the algorithm, absolutely. Hey, so like I said in my daily vid, sitting on 1,945 subscribers. Let's see if we can get to 2,000 today. That'd be pretty cool. It's a nice round number for sure. Solix says, morning, I'm ready to sacrifice this. Solix, nice. And Hex James is in the house with the rockets, so pretty cool. Hey, welcome everybody. Hope you guys had a good time for Christmas Day, Boxing Day shopping possibly, and get to starting to enjoy yourself, mate. A few days off for sure. And of course, man, have you got entertainment? You've got entertainment. We've got the PulseX Sacrifice is going to be within the next 2 day to 3 days, and one of these days, tomorrow, next day. It's the time is ticking down for that. I've got to watch out on the old thing. So we're going to quickly have a look at the timeline at the moment. So we're going to have a quick look at this first, and then we get into the main stuff around PulseX. So here we are with the price thing. We've got our Pulsechain testnet 2.0 is currently running along. So remember we had Pulsechain testnet 1.0 was running. Let's have a look here. Running for 77 days. Pulsechain testnet 1.0 ran for, and so that's pretty interesting. We also got Pulsechain testnet so far running for 15 days. So 15 days compared to 77 days. The deal with, of course, Pulsechain testnet 2.0 is we've got the validator code running, and that's in addition to the original Ethereum, of course, which is primarily proof of work. And of course, they started December last year. They started transitioning to the first stage of ETH 2.0 with staking back in December. That's actually probably disappointed a few people. It's really locked a lot of them in for a long time with that ETH there. And of course, with the London fork with the EIP 1559, they started introducing burning, a deflationary mechanism in there. So they're still transitioning, trying to transition to the ETH 2.0. They've got all the sharding to roll out, of course, and then, of course, to dock ETH 1.0 with ETH 2.0. When's it going to come out? Is it mid-July next year? Who knows? And how effective will it actually be reducing the fees. A lot of criticism coming into that as well, and they've had issues with staffing, with the developers, obviously with Vitalik and stuff like that. So Pulsechain couldn't be better, and Pulsechain does have a bit more time to get the launch going, so that's pretty cool as well. So looking good there. Won't go too much into that. I've also got Pulsechain testnet 1.0 and testnet 2.0 overlapped each other here for a couple of days, just to allow those projects that are testing on Pulsechain testnet to go to that. And of course, don't forget that Pulsechain testnet 1.0 and 2.0 all based on the block 13,224,745 of Ethereum, which was something like quite a long time ago. So let's just take that into account. The actual fork block is going to obviously be next year, and that's the one everyone wants to get the airdrop from Ethereum onto Pulsechain. So that fork is going to come up as well, the fork block, and basically the networks start going off in different directions with new blocks and new transactions in those blocks, one on ETH chain, one on the Pulsechain. So I've got here Richard said again on his live stream, his last two live streams, that Pulsechain 3.0 is going to happen, but he said it's going to be short, and I did mention that in the daily vid earlier today. And the primary purposes of that at this stage are to test net the balances, which he thinks it's a bit more of a formality than anything. But with those balances, it's always something that's a little thing, but this probably is fairly immaterial. And then of course the main thing is the AMM bot run, and that was on the 16th of December, and also reconfirmed about the Pulsechain testnet 3.0 and his last two videos, so which I posted in the community chat there. Very cool. I thought it was very nice of Richard to, obviously the Pulsechain PulseX Sacrifice is coming up. It was very nice of Richard to live stream during Christmas Day, Christmas Eve type thing. It was pretty good. All right, so I've got an overlap here. These are just my dates, so this is not Richard's official dates. This is just kind of where I feel that they might land. Now testnet 2.0, they're going to need plenty of time to get their validator stuff. They've already had some issues. They had to obviously fix some code around that, especially with validators that were offline and stuff like that. So I've just extended that out. Of course, it's 15 days. I've just extended out to say mid-January. That might be shorter or longer. We'll just wait and see. But in any case, that gives a bit more time just to run all those validators. And last time we checked, there was 21 validators running. There's possibly more than that now. And of course, then I've overlapped Pulsechain testnet 3.0. He said it's going to be shorter, so I've got 2 weeks in there at the moment. So this is 2 weeks. That gets us to the end of January. So at the earliest, we're talking about the beginning of February for Pulsechain mainnet and obviously PulseX and the new token yield farming as well. That's at the earliest. And obviously software is difficult and may take another month on top of that. But at the moment, I've shifted the dates through from the 7th, originally at the 7th, then the 15th, and now at the beginning of February. But we are moving forward. Everything is moving forward. So that's that's a good sign. And we've got Uniswap front end done. The bridge is testing on Pulsechain, testnet 2.0 based on Richard's comments. PulseX, of course, and GoHex are pretty much done, but they will be tweaking them, no doubt, as well. And that's pretty much it. That's where we're at. So PulseX Sacrifice, we've had a lot of details around that, so we're going to check that out now. That's where we're going to go to the main presentation. So hope you guys enjoy that. Solix says the buyback of PulseX will be Pumpamentals. It's going to be massive, actually, Solix. And Hex James, just sub, bro. Hey, appreciate that, Hex James. Onwards to 2,000. That would be really cool. So we'll see where we can get there today or within the next 24 hours. Hex James says, love the chart. Hey, Hex James, appreciate that. Yeah, I actually find this timeline quite useful, and I try to keep it as accurate as possible. And if I have made an assumption on myself rather than information that we've gleaned, and I let you guys know that, just to put the question mark there, that we just don't know around this stuff here at the stage. All right, so very, very cool. Fiat on-ramp 2 was the bonus with the credit card. That's in play. And I know that Kinetics team is also working on that in addition to the Hex scale. They're doing a Fiat on-ramps as well. But Richard also talked, I understand, is working on that Fiat on-ramps credit card. So whether they're one and the same, I don't believe so. I think they're separate projects. So we'll look forward to that. And obviously funding, Jim is talking to billionaires all the time, especially in the last couple of weeks. So very exciting to see funding Jim moving that. That is cannot be understated. That is some of the big economic energy that's going to come into the space for 2022 on the demand side, and that's also going to possibly fuel some of the Hex scale, and they'll probably basically work together to bring in a whole next level of demand side and buying. And remember, there's not too much Hex in the pool at the moment. Of course, Pulsechain and PulseX both offer up new value, new financial value in the marketplace. So it's all Pumpamentals, all of it's fantastic. 2022 looks very bright. Now, I won't show you what this blue line is. We'll talk about that in my next video that's coming up for 2022. We're going to check that. New yield farming token, of course, this is going to drive the market crazy with the harvesting of the bot. So it's going to be really, really fun to look at as well. So let's get straight into it, folks. Let's get into main event. I'm just going to go back to the poll. And so now we've got 46 people watching, so it's probably a good time to get into the main part here. We've got 43 votes already on the poll. How much do you intend to sacrifice for the PulseX sacrifice? Under 5K is 42%, so that's pretty cool. 66 to 20,000, 28%, 21 to 50,000, 14%, and 51 above 51,000 is 16% so far. So I really appreciate that, filling that up. This gives some pretty helpful insights to everybody else. A lot of people ask the basic question, oh, how much should I sacrifice? What are other people sacrificing? Hopefully this gives you just a little bit of insight into that as well. But once again, the Pulsechain results were here, so you can pause the video, have a check on that as well. I will leave the link in the video description after the live stream, so you can come back to that if you want to come to the source file. So very nice in there. 45 votes, nice, going good. All right, so let me just get out of there. We're going to get to the main topic now. We've got 50 people watching, seems pretty good to me. Marco's in the house, what's up? And Refined is in the house, great analysis, sir. Hey, appreciate that, Refined. And RuneSkis is in the house, yay, nice. Good to see you, RuneSkis, and or RuneSkies. I always say RuneSkis, but RuneSkies, very, very cool. Hey, g'day, mate. Hope you had a nice Christmas, New Year incoming. My PulseX DCA or dollar cost average just changed in the last 2 days. Lol, it's now 40% Hex, 30% Pulse, 30% Pulse Hex, bullish on it. Hey, I think that's a terrific allocation, Pulse guys, and big shout out for that. Dave Rags in the house and says, oh snap, I caught him live. Hey, good to see you, Dave, for sure. Let's get into the main stuff, folks. We're going to jump into the presentation for today, which is on PulseX Pumpamentals 10,000x, of course, PulseX Tokenomics and 10,000x Pumpamentals, and a PulseX Sacrifice Gamification. That's what the title was. Just remember that now. So let's get into it, folks. Bam, here we are. Hope you like the purple. Trying to keep it within the branding, of course. Cheers, everybody, and yeah, party time. So great. We're summer here. Really enjoying it. So very, very cool. All right, PulseX Tokenomics. So here's a couple of snapshots from Richard from Twitter here. I've just cut out the most relevant ones. And of course, PulseX is going to have a 0.29% trading fee. So everything that trades through, you know, everybody's used to swapping. If you're into crypto, you must have done a swap by now. Not everyone's done a swap on a DEX, of course. Sometimes they just use centralized exchanges. It takes a bit of a cultural change to move on to DEXs, but DEXs are the future as well. So pretty cool. PulseX 0.29% trading fee, of which 0.21% is used to market buy and burn, and that's just really, really awesome. Now we're going to talk about what that means in percentage points, because that's reflected as a percentage of a percentage, and we need a percentage of a percentage to get the percentage points that actually will be burned from every trading fee. We're going to check that out in the next slide. PulseX is deflationary from the start. Okay, so pretty much all the supply is going to be through the sacrifice. If you want to get PulseX, got to get it through the sacrifice, and of course it's going to be deflationary after that. Once Pulsechain mainnet goes live with PulseX on it, sorry, not PulseSwap, PulseX on it, then you can buy it on market. That's the only other way you're going to get it. So you can have burn. You can have buyback and burn through every fee traded through every pair on PulseX, but then of course people are going to wanting to buy PulseX as they want to have a token that's deflationary and that's basically had an AMM bot or automatic maker bot harvest all the pairs at the beginning before the launch, and to get the liquidity set up and harvesting all the liquidity from all these other places, Uniswap, PancakeSwap, SushiSwap, that kind of thing. It's going to be the biggest yield farming in the crypto history. It is a game changer, and think about it, it actually is just making a lot of money out of thin air. Think about that. So it's making a lot of money out of thin air. So we're going to talk about volumes in a second, because obviously there's already just billions and billions of dollars of going through volume in yield farming, over $1 trillion. You know, that's the sort of big money we're talking about. Billions and trillions are going through the yield farming, only growing all the time, and so that's going to be pretty huge. We are in a bull market, of course. And we have pulled back a little bit, so just take into account a bear market, bull market does impact the valuations quite dramatically. If you're going higher, really good, more higher value. If you're going lower, lower value, right? That's just what happens. So if you have a 90% correction, we saw, recently Hex pullback, was it 78% or something like that? Then if you have that sort of pullback, then the value of those volumes goes down too. So just keep that bear bull market range in your back of your head type of thing, because that does have a different play. If you're around crypto in 2017, 18, you know what I'm talking about. It can drag out with lower volumes, but once the prices start ramping up, that marginal price kicks in, buyers more supply, and up it goes. And that's what we're looking forward to in 2022, is a whole set of new buyers coming in. So it's going to be pretty exciting. All right, so only way to get PulseX is via PulseX Sacrifice or buy on PulseX when Pulsechain live. No admin keys, very cool. So it's going to be like an Autobot, so it's going to keep going. No middlemen, no one else to rug pull you or prevent you from getting tokens or any other sort of carry on. Very cool. Automatic public buy and burn function. All right, so public's going to be able to activate that. It's really, really cool. Not having to wait weekly, that sort of thing. It really is quite neat. Yield farming secondary token, of course, it got announced. This is actually for the yield farming peers, not just about the trading fee, but now you take when you put funds into a pool, and of course you have people trade that pool and you get the trading fee. That's what the first part's talking about, this part here. But once you do that, when you provide peers into the pool, you get LP tokens, and LP tokens represent that amount of liquidity that you put in there at that time. And of course, LP prices can go up and down. And of course, you take your LP tokens to go into your wallet, like a MetaMask wallet, on a Pulse chain, and of course, then you'll actually be able to take those and put those into PulseX and get the secondary token as an incentive for providing liquidity. So really, really great rewards as well. So holding PulseX, fantastic. Deflationary, people want to get that, of course. And then, of course, PulseX secondary incentive token will also be given to those who provide liquidity. And remember, with the big airdrop, of course, if you go on Ethereum, you're going to get a lot of PRC20 tokens all for free. So you're going to be able to go into this liquidity pool and, of course, then get the LP tokens, put them in, and you could be 50% to 100% free on that liquidity, and just you're raking it in and laughing yourself pretty, sitting on one of the biggest chains out there, if not going to be the biggest in the future. You just don't know. I think it's looking like that, but once again, not investment advice. Ash says, what's the purpose of PulseX besides governance? And so, yeah, PulseX governance, well, it's the purpose of PulseX, obviously, to bring this back, is the fact it's deflation. It's got underlying value is ginormous. So that's what's going to happen. A bit like Uniswap, it's going to be pretty huge. It's just the way the market's going to price it up because all those fees. And the reason why that is because the buyback is so huge. So we're going to get into those numbers later in the presentation to show you why the Pumpamentals is so big there. And we've got Brownie says 5K at 10,000x works for me. And yeah, well said. And well, people that win Hex, that's what happened to them, right? They turned $30 into a lot of money. So it's amazing. Francia says, hello, Hexkin. Hey, good to see you. Hey, welcome everybody. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share. Trying to head towards 2,000 subscribers today. Start off at 1,945. So hopefully we'll get there. Very optimistic we will. So very cool. All right, let's continue on. So yield farming secondary token, name not yet known. Richard's to let us know about that. To incentivize liquidity providers, the DAO chooses the trading pairs to receive incentive and at what rate. Okay, so you're going to have a lot of influence in that. The more PulseX you have, you're going to have more voting power to vote on those outcomes, what pairs and how much of the incentive or mission will go to them. Pulse, and that second liquidity pair is going to be deflationary too in a form. So we'll look out for that. PulseX holders control DAO outcomes via the votes. So very nice. So that deal's all based on Richard's Twitter stuff there. You can see it's going to be very, very cool. And yeah, looking super excited. This token, it's got here that this token is emitted with decreasing inflation over time. That's for the secondary token. So very, very cool. Whatever that's going to be called, looking really, really good. All right, so let's jump over that. By not having the secondary token decide which pairs it gets, it stops that gamification from big whales being able to get that token associated with their liquidity and their pair that they've had. So I think it's much better in the PulseX. There was a vote on it on Twitter, but I think the PulseX control of the DAO is a much better one for the incentive. All right, let's jump over to the next one. Here is that fee breakdown. So 21% of the 0.29% of every trade is going to go to is going to go to buyback and burn. And of course, that's 21% of buyback. So you can see in the red, gives you a kind of nice visual about how big that is out of the 0.29. And of course, the Genesis address is going to get 3%. I've got Genesis address because I've just applied that myself. This is an address that you're not supposed to have any expectations of. It's going to get 3% of the fee. I've just called it the Genesis address there. Could be the PulseX team, whatever you want to call it, but that's what I've called it there at the moment. LP tokens, LP rewards. So LP means a liquidity provider. So those rewards, 76% of the trading fee will be for their rewards just by having their funds in the pool, which is pretty outstanding. Is really, really cool. So nice there. All right, so let's jump over to slide 3. And here's an example. Now this is not for, this is just for trying to make it as simple as possible. So those that may not be too familiar for how this works, obviously a lot of you out there know how to do yield farming and all the rest of it. But for those people a bit less, and obviously trading fee is just a bit, just trying to get that for the maybe for the newbie in the space. So PulseX 0.9% fee example, single trade token swap, and of course, let's say we had an example of 1,000 USDC and it buys 1,000 PHEX, which is PulseX, and will be on Pulsechain. So $1,000 times 0.29% fee equals $2.90. That's on a single trade. And of course, I've got in yellow here the percentage points. So what that means is that if I take out $2.90 is the amount that we've got from the fee, then for the trade, then 0.21% is going to be a buyback and burn. So 0.21 times 0.29 equals 0.061. This is the percentage points. So this is equivalent to this measure here, and so basically you can say that out of every fee, every transaction, 0.061% is going to be times the 1,000 is going to be your fee, which in this case for $1,000 is going to be 0.60, so 60 cents or 61 cents is going to go to a buyback and burn just from $1,000 trade. So you can just multiply 1,000 times that. Every 1,000 that you get, you're going to get 60 cents, 61 cents going to buy back PulseX, which is deflationary, and that's huge. So pretty amazing. And then, of course, LP providers, that's going to burn it, of course. And then, so there's going to be less supply of PulseX over time. Every $1,000, the 61 cents is going to go buy back and burn that. And of course, transactions are happening non-stop on the exchange. So just be going bam, 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 and you'll have 61 cents just ticking over, tick, 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 tick. It's going to add up real fast. You can have a whole mountain of 61 cents on you because there's a whole mountain of trades sitting on top of you. So pretty cool. Now, LP providers, $2.90 times 0.76 equals $2.20. That's how much we're going to LP or liquidity providers out of that. So $2.20 out of $2.90. So if you multiply 0.76% of times 0.29, which is the fee, you're going to get a percentage amount of 0.22%. And then, of course, the Genesis address or whatever it is, we don't have any expectations from it. I just call it the Genesis address, in other words, Hasgrads. And of course, $2.90 times 0.03 equals 0.087 cents. So we're just under 9 cents there. And of course, because I'm using 1,000, it's very simple to see. The percentage looks very similar to the dollar amount. And of course, so 0.03 times 0.29% of the fee, that equals 0.0087 percentage points. Okay, so very, very cool. Obviously, when you do the multiplication, you have to divide it by 100 and then times it by the dollar amount to get the result there. But that's how that looks, folks. So this, you got $2.90 as the fee here. It breaks down into these three things here. You got $2.90 on the other side. So you add all those up, $2.90, and very, very cool. So hopefully that's helped to just flesh that out a bit. You can always pause the video and watch that. You can also get your calculator out and play around with that as well. Now, multiply this by trading volume and boom, yeah. So this is just based on a simple $1,000 trade. Imagine multiplying that by the millions, the billions of dollars that are going to go through the PulseX. Can you imagine it? It's going to be ginormous. And it really is amazing. So 10,000x and beyond. Note, not investment advice, because this is just infotainment. You must do your own investment due diligence before sacrificing or investing, trading, or whatever. So that's pretty cool. Let me just sit back to the chat here. We've got 77 people. Welcome, everybody. Subscribe, like, share. Trying to hit 2,000 subscribers today. Help out there, share around. And we start off at 945, so I hope we'll get to 2,000. It just seems like a pretty good milestone before the end of the year to hit. Muzz says, Happy New Year, bro. Looking forward to 2022. Keep up the great work. We'll do, Muzz. Appreciate that. And D Hexkins, wish I had more dirty fiat, says D Hexkins. Dirty fiat. I love it. All right. So Hex James says, same. We won't be dirt poor forever, bro. Don't worry. Yeah. You guys have come. Someone asked me about crypto yesterday. They're a big CEO in a big corporation. And I said to them, 99.5% of crypto got terrible rubbish projects. I said, you're always after the gold standard. And so this is not investment advice, but if you are involved in the Hex Pulsechain or PulseX projects, you are in the gold standard projects. And I think that's easily demonstrated by Hex over the last 2 years. And you can see the tokenomics that we're talking about is amazing. And Richard's really thought about how to optimize that. And so it's great being in the gold standard projects. Also, with great market growth and huge opportunity in the future, really it does look very exciting. And that's how pretty much I described it to him. And he had a light bulb go off, I see. So pretty cool. D Hex says, lol, I hate using Hex. I have 40,000 liquid, just don't want to part with it. Yeah, we all understand that with you on that, D Hexkin. PulseX 50 to 100x is sheesh, and sacrifice much higher than that there, sheesh. Sacrifice for PulseX, then wait a few weeks and dump it for more Hex. Yeah, so some people will be doing that. So some people will be swapping the tokens, and you may or may not, what each strategy may not have the same outcome. But once again, if you're in any of Richard Hart's projects, hey, well, you can't go too wrong, right? So that's the way I'd put it. Obviously, you don't want to sell low and buy high. You know, you got to take a bit of that as well. But once again, a lot of these things, if you know Hex, you can just sit in them, buy them and sit in them. So if you've got Hex already, you're going to get P Hex for free. You sacrifice a bit of that for PulseX, you get a big, huge amount of PulseX. And of course, you're in the Pumpamentals for that. If you've sacrificed Pulsechain, you got some of that. So you're sitting them pretty on all that, and it looks really good. Now I'm just going to scroll back up to RuneSky's. RuneSky's strategy, I think, is very good. He says it's now 40% Hex, 30% PLS, and 30% PLSX. Bullish on it. So I actually like that. There's a diverse, what I call diverse portfolio, but it's a diverse portfolio in gold standard products, as I call them, and inverted quotes there from Richard Hart, because that's the one, Richard Hart Maxi, because he's shown he knows how the tokenomics works to create value. And that's the key, right? There's a lot of projects out there trying to struggle around the tokenomics, but Richard seems to have a genius gift for getting that right. So very, very cool. Plus he has the community, the big enough community to make that work. You do still need a big enough community. Like if you're going to fork Ethereum, you need a big enough a community to make that work. That's why he's focused a lot on growing social media, and of course all the YouTubers and everything else. You see it's expanding pretty fast. New YouTubers coming in the space all the time. And that's new audiences. So very, very cool. All right, so let me get back here. Javier says, yeah, I think I went through that one. And Brown says, you have to have the best Hex PLS TA and info out there, mate. Freaking loving it. Thanks, Brownie. I do appreciate that. Big shout out to you. She says, we'll pulse X 50 to 1X. I said it's going to do better than that, sheesh. All right, so here we go. This is where we're at. So this is a breakdown of how the fees are going to work. Let's jump on to slide number 4. Here we go. And so here we are. Here's Pancake Swap experience. So we're going to take a bit of experience now. Obviously, PulseX has turned out to be quite different in tokenomics from Pancake Swap. I've done videos on Pancake Swap. Other people have done videos on Pancake Swap as an example, because obviously it's going to be a fork of that, but they're tweaking the tokenomics and how it works as well, and getting rid of a lot of the gambling side of the deflation. So Pancake Swap has lotteries and stuff like that. They work perfectly well, but there is a culture of gambling to do that. Some people are losing, a few people are winning, and then of course that helps with the burn. There's a whole ton of different measures. I went through that on a video. You can check them all out on that. But here I wanted to point out the actual Pancake monthly report for November 21. And of course, here we are. We've got their little report. We've got number 1, the total volume, 48.4 billion traded through the month. Now, remember, I gave you the example of $1,000, $2.90, and that was 61 cents was burned in that for buyback and burn. That was off $1,000. Now look at this. This is Pancake Swap, 48.4 billion of monthly volume, daily volume 1.6 billion. This is on the high end because I think they had higher prices earlier, but just taking into account as the prices go up and down, this value will change. If we're in a bear and bull market, this value will change. So very important to keep that in the back of your mind. We're just talking about present prices really, so take that into account. So if we take that volume, 48.4 billion, and then we times it by 0.05. This is Pancake Swap's burn, 0.05. Now remember, PulseX is slightly higher than that, 0.061 is PulseX's, so it's slightly higher. Buyback and burn, that equals 24 million market trade burn. So number one, 48.4. And this is their burn. So this is what happens. So when they trade, 0.25% trading fee. Remember, ours is 0.29, which is broken down as follows: 0.17%. These are in percentage points. They're not a percentage of a percentage. So 0.17% return to liquidity pools in the form of a fee reward for liquidity providers. Okay, 0.03% sent to the Pancake Swaps treasury. That's kind of like the Genesis wallet or the account that's got no expectations. And then 0.05% sent towards Cake buyback and burn. So in this case, it's going to be PulseX buy and burn. There's a 0.05. Ours is slightly higher, 0.061% in percentage point terms. So just take that into account. So it's just like a normal percentage rather than a breakdown of a percentage into other percentages. So hopefully that's clear. All right, so we got one here, 48.4. That's at the top here, times 0.05%. And then that equals 24 million market trading based burn. And here's number three, 24 million there. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. That's buying power, folks. It's buying power on the market. That's not you or I buying. That is the system buying, and that's pretty awesome by other people doing other activities, which is swapping tokens. They're either speculating, they're investing, whatever they're doing, they're staking, using the stake, they're going to do whatever, going to liquidity pools, whatever purpose they have. There's a little fee, and Pancake Swap 0.25, and a burn of that is 0.05 percentage points of that at 25. So that's 25% basically of the fee is used to burn on their one there. So pretty cool. And you can see 24 million. You can see the power of this is amazing. And of course, obviously other dexes are using this, so that's not novelty, but it's just the way that Richard's done it, because the underlying token itself is deflationary, and of course it's going to start at a max and then go down, whereas these guys don't have that. They have to put all these measures in place either to maintain the supply at a certain place or to actually decrease it over time. And those are subject to behavior, whereas the PulseX is within the system, it's systemic. So it's a way superior way of thinking, and Richard's the first one to bring that into play. And don't forget, that's on top, of course, the biggest airdrop in history, the biggest yield farming in history, the harvesting of all the tokens. So you've got all that part of this. It really is mind-blowing stuff, and very exciting. Now, I've got here the last 6 months here in the trading volume. You can see that trading volume goes up and it goes down. So we can also expect that in PulseX. So it's not just going to be up and to the right. It will be very good for the price. Price will probably be up and to the right, but the volume changes depending on the value of day to day, etc. So just take that into account. There's still normal variables in play. So very, very cool. Let me just go to some of the top. I think I've gone through this slide. That's pretty much how this works. This is the Pancake Swap experience. And of course, we want to send that. So what have we looked at so far? We've looked at the basic tokenomics of the fee burn and PulseX. And then we've also looked at what does Pancake Swap have and what sort of value does it have? And we've looked at that. So sort of the big picture, if we looked at $1,000 worth of trading, well, what's it like when you actually add in the volume trading for a month or a year? And it's pretty huge. So pretty cool on that. Let me just get into some of the comments, and we're going to go on to slide number 5. We're starting to get into the end result stuff. So hopefully that'll be cool. Yiv says writing in purple on a purple background. That's super smart. I can almost read it. Looks a good job. Yeah, nice one. Yeah. So most of it's in white. All right. So Hex Jane says higher buyback and burn than Cake. Mega bullish, absolutely. And don't forget the token's deflation. It starts at a maximum. There's no emission curve going off it. So that's really super good too. BJM says, how do we sacrifice P-Hex for PulseX when the sacrifice phase will be over before the pulse snapshot occurs? You can't BJM. You can't do that. And you've says 2016 Hex token is a moron. It's 2016. I'm not sure Hex token is a moron. I don't know what that is about. All right, Scott says you can sacrifice P-Hex. You can't sacrifice P-Hex. That's correct. Scott's right on that. Hey, Hex James, don't say moron. It's not very good language. Let's keep talking to each other pretty nicely on that. Let me just go back up in here. Yeah, I prefer not using derogatory terms there for sure. So let's get into some of that. All right. All right, cool. All All right, so let's have a look here. So this is the Pancake Swap experience. So you get the idea of what they're doing over there, and of course there's the superior tokenomics. So let's actually have a look. Let's have a fun look at what some of the potential could be. So we've got fund fee trading volume estimate. So we've got Uniswap version 3 at the top here. This is all the you won't be able to see this too well, but this is all off CoinGecko, and this is the trading volume on CoinGecko for the topic DEXs, the decentralized exchanges. We've got Uniswap 3 at the top. It's got $1 billion up there. We've got Pancake Swap, 686,000 at the moment. So it's different from the values that we saw in the other one because this is just a daily value. They can be 1.2. They can be 1 billion on one day, and they could be 700 million on another day. So just take that account. Then we've got Uniswap Vision 2, 262 million, and then Sushi Swap there, 232. Obviously, this, when the AMM bot runs, it's going to harvest all these tokens on all these different platforms as well. And then you've got so we're just going to take these 4, for example. That would give us 2.2 billion USD 24-hour trading volume. And then if you multiply that by our 0.061 percentage points is a buyback and burn, that will equal 1.3 million market trading buyback burn per day. So that's amazing. And then of course, if you multiply that monthly, that's 40 million a monthly buyback and burn of PulseX, or yearly 490 million USD burn. That is ginormous. On a deflationary token from the start, you get it through the sacrifice. Over time, that's just going to decrease. It's a massive Pumpamentals for PulseX, and that's what we're talking 10,000x plus. It really is amazing. And of course, massive support for PulseX price rise. This is the big deal, and it's pretty huge. Now, the caveats for this, of course, is that we have bull markets and bear markets. We have supply and demand. So we have bull and bear markets, generally speaking, around crypto, but we also have supply and demand for Pulsechain, for PulseX, for Hex, example PHEX, EHEX, and of course the 5th token, which is going to be the yield farming token. So there's always these moving dynamics. So you've got to take that into account. But this is based on the current market values at the moment. Is pretty ginormous. This is mind-blowing stuff. And remember, a lot of the stuff is actually making money out of nothing. And the other side of it, but it becomes real money, right? So it's like how the Federal Reserve prints money. They do buybacks in the market. They create money in the system. It's exactly the same idea. And of course, we've seen crypto projects do that before. They make a new token, for example, like Tron. They'll make a new token, and Binance, or everyone makes these new tokens. And if they've got a big enough number of investors, they can actually make that real. They make that real because people trade, buy and sell non-stop, and new people come into the system, new people exit the system, but over time they're growing. So you've got that kind of growth, and it's the same thing that's happening here, and it's going to be but better tokenomics. It's going to be mind-blowing. So it really is going to be pretty epic on that. Hex James says, we've got to jump past that. Steve Wright says, I'm so thankful for the information you give out, Steve Wright, Santa Barbara, California. And Hex Jones says, won't happen again, sir. I appreciate the Hex Jones. Yeah, we're just got to talk to each other nicely. We're all mature people, so we can do that. Can you elaborate if your brain can formulate an argument? Yeah, so we're going to cut that out there. And let me jump back to this house there. I thought... jump back here. Let me up here. So BJM says, I thought you said that a strategy was to sacrifice airdrop tokens, bro. That's all. Not sure what that's about. Learn Crypto says you should take over for Richard at this point, mate. Lol says Learn Crypto. Hey, nice one there, Learn. Crypto's the and Funding Jim's in the house. Say Funding Jim. Woo-hoo! Hey, Funding Jim. I'm one of Funding Jim's biggest fans. I do appreciate the $50 super chat. Really great. Thanks for Funding Jim, and very cool. So Funding Jim says, great update. Thanks for the stream. Good things coming for Hex, Pulsechain, and PulseX. Keep informing. That's the whole thing. So get out there, folks, and just keep growing the stuff, and have a little celebratory drink for Funding Jim in the chat. So now, if you don't know who Funding Jim was, then that's Funding Jim is one of the most biggest influencers in the space. You got Funding Jim down here, Billionaire Liaison, which I've titled. So very cool to see Funding Jim in the house there for sure. All right, so Benny Whistler says, no, your best mate, my humble opponent, is having Hex ready liquid to sacrifice. Yeah, so people want to sacrifice Hex because we can influence the price by buying. Everyone buys the Hex, it moves the price up. So when you sacrifice in PulseX, you'll have a USD. That USD value is the most critical thing. So at the time that you sacrifice, that's what you want your USD price to be worth. So that's why people push that price up. And then also it goes into essentially kind of like the origin account. And then that doesn't sell it. And it's been shown that doesn't sell it with Gunther the accountant and stuff like that, showing that no, the accounts don't sell it. Richard's talked about it on his live streams. And basically, I always say that the origin account's a bit like the Federal Reserve. It runs the financial systems within Hex, Pulsechain, and inevitably will be PulseX as well. And of course, it controls the majority of the supply of those tokens, 85, 95%, somewhere like that. And it helps to regulate the returns that people get, the supplies, all that sort of stuff. So has a pretty critical role. So I don't get too shocked about the fact that when it goes to sacrifice, it gets a lot of coins, because it's actually using that to support the system. It's quite good like that. All right, so let's jump in. I think I got up to that one. Nah, bro, shouldn't have said anything. I apologize. Hey, appreciate that, Hex Day. Have a long day. That's great stuff. Nice to see that, Hex James. Appreciate that. And Ben Whistler says, I asked Richard yesterday. That's what he said, bro. It's okay. Yeah. I'm not. Hopefully, you're talking to me and not someone else there, Ben. So you're awesome, Hex Token. So appreciate what you do for the community. Hey, D Hexkin, a big shout back to you. I always appreciate the community as well. And Tim says, watching in the UK. Hey, big shout out to the UK there. And I went to the UK in like 2003 or something. And man, I had a great time. Went to town in London. Went to lots of different the London Museum, all sorts of places. I think it was a big castle up north. I had a great time. It's such a great place to see the history there. And she says, how fast will PulseX 50x to 100x? I think it's gonna be pretty fast there, Sheesh. So hold on to your hat. I won't give any particular times because no one really knows the answer to those type of questions. Learn Crypto says 6 months. Yeah. So 3 to 6 months is kind of the number out there, and that's probably a decent time. Refine Hadsey said, funding Jim in the house. Cool. Yeah, it's always cool, eh? Yeah. And EZ says, sheesh, no one knows. Come on, man. That's right. So Brownie says, I agree with Bexry Hex. I think the price will only go up between now and PulseX Sacrifice. Yeah. The only thing that we saw last time, of course, was some whale selling down through after the first couple of days, first 3 days. We're sitting around the 18 cents mark in the sacrifice. And of course, we're going to get into that a bit later. But that just take that into account. But I definitely think we're going to get a green candle before the sacrifice when it comes out, maybe even 2 days worth. We'll see. Welcome back soon, brother, says Tim. Nice one on the house. So big shout out to everybody. Thanks for watching. Of course, trying to hit 2,000 subs today. And start off at 1945. And so if you haven't subbed, please sub. That would be helpful. Get that 2,000. Trying to get there today, and it'll be a pretty cool milestone for the end of the year. And yeah, looking forward to it. All right. Learn Crypto says, watching from Roswell, New Mexico. No way. Awesome. That's so cool. I love Roswell TV series, so that's really good. Kept on having the old theme song there. It's pretty neat. All right, so here we are we're on number 5, and this here really brings home how big a deal this is, and it's going to be huge. It's going to be really massive. And so let's get on to the number 6 slide. This is the final one. PulseX Sacrifice, Gamification, and Total Supply. Now, I could imply a lot of values. Like I could work it out mathematically as many other people out there could. I could do an implied value for PulseX. I could do implied value for the total supply, but it's really a lot of guesswork because we just don't know what people are going to do with their behavior. How are they going to sacrifice similar to PulseX, Pulsechain, sorry, or PulseX? So I was going to look to do that, but I really want to avoid doing that because it may send too many wrong signals. Because I don't know the future, what people, the tens of thousands of people that are going to be involved here, potentially hundreds, over 100,000 or more people that are going to be involved in this. I don't know what they're going to do. So I've avoided doing that at this stage, but it was definitely the next one. So we've got a function. The total supply is going to be a function of 10,000 PulseX points per dollar, which has pretty much told us that. Obviously Richard can tweak any of these, but this is what Richard's told so far. But bonus points, we gather he's talking about the volume multiplier. and of course that was in the first 16 days. So the official length, 19 days, he said it was going to be pretty much similar to the length. But once again, he can change any of these metrics, so just take that into account. That's basically what he said in summary. So obviously for Pulsechain, we had the first 5 days. You got 10,000 points for $1, and that was to get people to sacrifice early. He did say earlier is better, and the videos that he said in the last 2 days, he said earlier is better. So all consistency. 11 days penalty rate, of course, which was 1.05 multiplier on itself. And of course, we've covered that many times on this channel. That only goes up. And of course, the last time I checked, yesterday, I think it was $2,300 for 10,000 points. I think it's probably $2,400 now. You're getting about 4 points per dollar at the moment. Really, it's almost getting into almost sub 1 point. That's how close we are to the end of that mercy sacrifice period. So just take that into account. So that's a total of 16 days. And the 16 days was the volume multiplier, which is this bonus one here. And of course, that was between 1 and 2.5. And of course, the big whales got 2.5. If you did something like $10,000, you might get 1.1, something like that. Was the rate was the number. So we'll see how that plays out. I presume he's going to pretty much keep it all intact. Yeah, so I was hoping for a shorter one. I was hoping for 2 weeks or something like that, rather than 19 days, but we'll see what Richard decides on that. Otherwise, he's pretty much said it's going to be pretty similar. So I do hope it's going to be a bit shorter. That would be cool. Time penalty 1.05. He said he's going to talked about making it less severe. So I don't know, is he going to do 1.02? What's he going to do around that? We'll find out about that. Little question mark there. Mercy period, of course. Now the length of the mercy period has been huge, so we'll jump into that now. Here was the Pulsechain sacrifice, the first 19 days. The dashed line is the mercy period, of course, and that's still going, actually. I've got to keep that going. So that's technically still available. As you can see how long that has been, months and months and months of the mercy. And he obviously, the rate now, like I say, is like $2,400 per 10,000 points. About 4 points per dollar. Remember, so previously people at the beginning, in the first 5 days, they got the 10,000 points for $1. Now people are paying $2,400 approximately. For 10,000 points. I mean, it's Richard said, don't do it. Don't sacrifice anymore. I've been saying that for some time. Don't sacrifice for the Pulsechain. Obviously, we've got PulseX now, so you've got a new opportunity to sacrifice and get really good value if you missed out on Pulsechain one. And we've had thousands of people miss out on Pulsechain. They've been asking, can I sacrifice? Is it a good time to sacrifice? All that sort of stuff. And of course, now you have a fresh opportunity, and I think that's fantastic. Very, very cool. Which is this going to be this red line here, which should be something like that. So very cool. All right, so Origin Wallet sacrifice, 90%, could be 85%. Could be 85, 90%, something like that. So expected to see that because once again, it's that controlling feature, kind of like the Federal Reserve for each token. Don't see why he wouldn't have that from there as well. So pretty cool. So we're going to see that in the last 3 days, like we did last time. We're going to see it like that. We have the parent account and all the children account from the Origin wallet, sacrificing all those, billions of hex. We're going to see that. We'll see what we see. Obviously, the Origin wallet's got tons of hex. Controls, the vast majority of the supply out there. So Pulsechain has upwards of 150 trillion. That's what we're expecting to see emerge when a Pulsechain goes live. And of course, 14 billion Origin wallet, the AMM bot. Okay, it's going to have something like 3 to 6%, probably on the bigger end there, the 6% of volume out of that total there. PulseX team, of course, and the open market, which is you and I. We're in the open market, and of course, we did that big sacrifice, and 670 million plus. So pretty big deal there. I've got OA wallet 85%. I've kind of double up there on that. So on this one here, so I might delete that off there. Hex is just like 50% higher price. That's the difference as well. Hex is about 50% higher price now at the moment. You're talking about like 29 cents versus like 16, 18 cents at the top of Pulsechain sacrifice. You can see here we're down here around about 80.5 cents, but obviously now we're around 28 cents as we speak. So take that into account. So it's going to be interesting. There's going to be higher values. Dollar values, but is there going to be as many sacrifices underlying? So we're going to wait and see. Yield farming is ginormous, so don't be surprised if we don't get a certain amount of value of there. Of course, the Pulsechain was really set against the backdrop of Ethereum and the biggest airdrop in history. full system state copy. So that's sort of the backdrop of that. And now we've got a sacrifice with the backdrop being the biggest yield farming in history. And of course, you're going to benefit with the flow-on benefits of Pulsechain, because you're going to get the biggest airdrop into those pools. You could have 50 to 100% free liquidity in each pool on some occasions. Sometimes you may have to use the bridge after the bridge is set up. Bring in ERC20s and stuff like that, and then match up those pairs. You'll obviously, if you're in a Pulsechain sacrifice, you'd have Pulse, and you can, it's like a gravy train, really. Pretty exciting as well. So you have to keep yourself cool and calm and collected, but that's the kind of thing. And then, of course, we've got PulseX.com, PulseX.info. They are up, but they are empty at the moment. So here it is, PulseHex.com. So we've already talked about Hex is up, and it's been running for over 2 years. Best chart pretty much in 2020 and 2021. And we've got Pulsechain, of course, coming up. And now we have a PulseHex.com and PulseHex.info. So I expect PulseHex.info to have the sacrifice details on it, and PulseX.com to be kind of the information, the home base, but like Hex.com. That's the way I expect it to be. Rather than vice versa. And of course, if we go into what we had last time, of course, for Pulsechain, we had Pulsechain was recorded on pulseleads.xyz. I will leave all the links to these in the video description after the live stream, so you can check those out. So that was pretty cool. And of course, you can see the results. We had 5 people over $10 million, and we had about 78 people over $1 million. So that's a huge amount of economic energy back at the price when the prices were around that 18 cents in the first couple of days, because most people sacrificed in those first 3 to 5 days, particularly by day 7 or 8. You had a lot of people sacrificed in that, and you can actually see that in the chart where most people were sacrificed. Pretty much by day 8, you had most of the stuff in there, and then it started declining. And then, of course, in the last couple of days, you had the Origin account in between days 17 and 19 sacrifice. So a pretty big deal. Now, what happens is a lot of people ask, how do I sacrifice? I want to sacrifice. Well, we had the site pulse.info for the Pulsechain sacrifice, but this is most likely to end up on PulseX.info site. But we've got no information when Richard launches it, and you must always go to the official sites like Richard Hart Twitter, Richard Hart on Telegram for PulseX, Pulsechain. You must always go to the official sites. There's so many scammers out there. Hex is so well known now that even the scammers target it just like they target Bitcoin. They target XRP. They target Ethereum. They target Litecoin. You see all the scams on YouTube. You'll see sites, just videos pop up there all the time. Hex is also included in it now. That shows you how a big deal the Hex has become. When you've got the big scammers using, taking out, putting us and all the rest of those typically traditional leader tokens. So things have really changed, and you must be very careful, or only use official sites, and don't ever put your seed phrases in any of your sites, that sort of thing. Just really keep your due diligence about you or that, and especially around in your mobile phones. If you got mobile phones, never put them in mobile phones. So very cool. So we're looking forward to this. This will launch any day now. Today, tomorrow, before the 31st, we're expecting this to launch. And unless Richard has some unexpected delay, we're expecting it to launch. He's been saying before the end of the year, for day after day after day now, especially the live streams. So this is what we're expecting. This will be launched, and this will be all populated. It will probably look pretty similar to the Pulsechain site, and of course have a link to something similar to Pulse Info, which it's going to basically like that, which will probably be these 2 sites here, and we're expecting that to launch. So there's no launch yet, so don't sacrifice to any address. Don't sacrifice to the old Pulsechain address. Sacrifice address, don't do that, which is on this one here. Don't do that. Just wait until the official one launches. That's pretty much how that goes as well. So nice on there. All right, so let me get back into the chat here. And let me guess, I'm going to put back on there. Let me jump back to the Hex price. There we are. We're going to watch the Hex price. Hey, we've got a little red, green candle. Hey, we've got a good green candle. Nice one there. So back to 28 cents. Cheers, everybody. So very nice on that. Let's read some of the comments. Watching. Yeah, I think I read it. Where is the next line of support for Hex? Well, we basically said expecting it to stay in the range between 26.5 and 32 cents is where we're expecting it to stay at the moment. It is showing a bit of weakness now, but I think with the sacrifice, we're going to be on the move up there. We've got the Alien says Brownie, nice one. DHexagon says 25 cents. And Hex Chief says Hex Token Channel, best daily Hex and Pulse updates. I love the channel, man. Hey, Hex Chief, I appreciate that. Hex Chef, I should say. I got to say Chef there, so Chef, yeah, Chef, yeah. DHexagon, I'll be, what's it, DHexagon? I'll be back. Gonna go buy Hex. Hey, woohoo! Hey, salute. We salute you. We salute you. Very cool. All right, Hex James says amazing overview, Hex Token. Hey, appreciate that, Hex, and hope it's been helpful to some of you out there. BJM says, I really appreciate the fact that you do several videos per day, brother. I think we will do. I think we all do. I tune in every day. Cheers, BJM. Hey, appreciate that. And yeah, I'm trying to provide good content. Obviously, I'm a bit of an OG, and so I've read everything that I can possibly read since the beginning of time, since well before Richard was ever launched anything. So hopefully, I've been able to transfer some of that knowledge on. Brendan says, love your work, bro. Thanks for making the time. Keep it up. Hey, Brendan, do appreciate that. And Kozka says, better to hold Hex or sacrifice for PulseX. Choices. Yeah, well, I always say do a bit of you can do a bit of both. You know, you split it up. And that's the way I do. I have a diverse portfolio. I think all Richard's projects will do well. Now, some people can try and time. It's a bit like you're starting to get into sort of trading a little bit. You try to time. Maybe PulseX will do better in the short term, so you get the gains and you buy Hex of Pulse. That's a decent strategy. So some people do take those kind of decisions, but I like to have a bit in each way. That's the way I like to play. GM says day 3 for me. Super happy about that. Yeah, super good. Listening from Michigan, great RH material, says Gal. Hey, appreciate that. And Pro Hexa, Michigan, great city. Was it car manufacturing, stuff like that? So very cool in Michigan State. Pro Hexa, good morning. Sorry, just woke up. Hey, it's all good. Got to wake up sometime. It has been a lot of people eating a lot of food and drink and a lot of family events. So no doubt it's good to relax, especially after a long year of working. For a lot of people, if you're not working, of course, another great holiday. So that's cool. Refine says, wish they would wait till vacation days are over, start in January. Yeah, so Richard was talking about that on his Twitter, was talking about people getting paychecks in early January. And I imagine he's talking about possibly something in America. I'm not sure what he was referring to, but it may be in some of the Telegram chats. So yeah, he's going to time trying to cross over both the end of this year and the beginning of next year. I think the way he's going to do it. Chris P says was it Chris P says 29% buyback instead of 0.21. Yeah. And what else we got there? Between PLSX, a 10,000x combined is conservative. I agree with you, but once again, not investment advice. We don't want to overdo it. I was going to do a much more bolder title, but I just thought I'd pull that back to what kind of where Richard sits on that. Sam for Villa, cheers for the info, man. Getting set up for sacrifice now. Hey, great stuff there, Sam. Yeah, so definitely, obviously you got the sacrifice for PulseX coming up. Then you got to think about when the Pulsechain fork comes up that you want to be get eligible for your ERC20 token, so you get your free copy on that as well. So just take that into account. If you got on centralized exchanges, you really want to get stuff off there into your wallets, maybe a MetaMask or somewhere like that. So just take that into account. Javia says Hex 60%, Pulse 20, and PulseX 20. Yeah, I like that, Javia. That's a pretty nice allocation. I'm trying to, yeah, that's a pretty good allocation. So there, folks. You got a couple people. You've got regards from the Prison Island, Australia. Nice one there, Javier. Prison Island, Australia. That's good. All right, so you got Javier there's got 60, 20, 20, and then of course back up here we had what we have back up here we had. Let me just scroll back up here. So Javier had 60, 20, 20, and then RuneSky's had 40% Hex, 30% PLS, 30% PLX. So you got some different approaches there, and hey, I think they're all pretty cool. Very, very nice on that. So yeah, and hey, a big shout out again to Funding Jim. Appreciate that. Very cool. So I feel like we've got royalty in the house when we had Funding Jim in the house. So nice to see that for sure. All right, there we are. So very cool. How are we doing for time? 1 hour and 8 minutes. You know how I roll. Pretty much up to 20 hour and 20. Let me just make sure that I've checked everything off here. Yeah. So I have a few extra comments in here. Yeah, likely 10,000x. Earlier the better. Some of the PC chains, a shorter mercy period, less severe. freedom of association. So the purpose that you're going to do sacrificing, Richard said, is the freedom of association and movement. Obviously, I'm a big pro-freedom person too. I agree with Richard. I don't like seeing some of the things that I'm seeing happening in the Western countries in particular. So you definitely want to defend your freedoms. You give those up, and you're in big trouble. I agree with Richard on that. Yeah, that's pretty much it there. So looking good. I think we've covered everything on that. And yeah, the fiat on-ramp will be really good too. So that's going to, all these injections coming in with new funds. So the bridge is going to bring in funds into Pulsechain. They'll bring funds into PulseX. You can have third-party bridges. They're all just going to pop up all over the place. You're going to see a lot of solutions coming in to Pulsechain, PulseX. So there's so many drivers of value that are going to come in. It's going to be crazy. The AMM bot's going to kick it all off, folks. It's going to secure all that funding. It's going to harvest those tokens. It's going to set them up in PulseX, and it's going to be a beautiful day. And of course, Richard will no doubt have that all set up before it goes live, so that it cannot be gamified. So we're looking forward to that. The only possible grey area or issue of concern is around a USDC, but I have to be fairly confident about that. And of course, fractionally. Can be fractionally reserved to some degree as well, and I think the market perception also plays a big role in that. So we'll watch that. USDC, USDT, DAI, we'll look around for those things as well. And I'm pretty sure, I can't remember exactly, I think Richard was talking about doing his own stablecoin at some stage, so we'll see about that too. That could be pretty neat on there. All right, so I think I've covered all that. Let's get into the price, and we're going to pull up the old market structure on daily. Now let me go to daily here. And we're going to pull up the market structure. All right. We've got, I might as well actually start getting rid of these older supports now that we've really broken out of those. So I'll probably simplify my chart the next time you see it, because I've been meaning to do a new price video. So we'll get into that. So this was the price prediction I made back on the 12th of December with the weekly price predictions, and it's pretty much been spot on, except for the price actually did better than I expected. Front run the curve, but it's ended up on the curve right now. It's exactly on the curve right now. Okay, so that's pretty amazing. So yeah, pretty cool on the bottom, pretty cool on the top. Obviously, actually it was faster rather than my little concave curve there. It was actually faster on the rise. Now we're still waiting for. This has got the current date 27th. That's the date that I've been talking about that I always thought that it might do just after Christmas, Boxing Day. And of course, I may be close to being right. So we'll see. If it launches in the next 24 hours, that'd be pretty good call there. And then of course, the launch, of course, this stuff here out here is no longer out real, because we have I've pushed out the date. So I'm going to update this chart for that as well. But so far, it's going pretty good anyway. This is the yellow line, is the end of the year. We've got not very long to go at the moment. And we're sitting on support here as well. Remember, 28 cents was the key to breaking out, and we are sitting on that right now. We had to get over 32.5 cents and break out past there to get to 33 to 38 cents. That was the new range. We haven't done that yet, but if a Pulse Sacrifice comes out and no whale is looking to suppress the price, and that's a big if, we just don't know, because that definitely happened last in the Pulsechain one. But if that's not the case, we could get a nice big green candle before the sacrifice. As long as there's some notice there, the market will go beep and go, yeah, we're going to get a price up for that sacrifice, especially a lot of buyers, and that would exclude particular whales. And then that's what I'm expecting to see. So the actual announcement could be pretty cool, especially if there's a bit of a gap, and we could see that that sacrifice go in. Now it does depend on whether people are sacrificing, whales in particular are sacrificing stuff they've already got, or whether they're going to buy some stuff. They're waiting for the markets. Are they doing the same thing as a small retail investor? So we've got to take that into account. Obviously, typically they have a lot of big bags of Hex already. So if they're going to use that to sacrifice, that's going to play out. So we've got a few unanswered questions, but at the moment, I just see us in the trading range, and with a good chance of maybe a 2/3 chance of getting a nice green candle before the sacrifice. Is kind of where I'm at the moment. Our volumes, of course, still are on a relatively soft side. And if we go all the way back to, let me go back to the 15th, is it? 15th of July. So you see the volumes just chip up here. Obviously, the price was lower, but we really had that big chip up in price when the Pulsechain launched. Really, really cool. So we could get, that was the announcement of, that was actually in the first couple of days. So we could actually see a couple of days rise in there, but if we get a repeat, then we could see after maybe in day 2, day 3, we might see a bit of a sell-off if some whales decide to suppress the price and make it not so worthwhile for some of the retail investors out there. It's just the way the markets work. This is what often happens. So take that into account. Peter Green's announced, absolutely fantastic context. Thank you for all your hard work. Hey, Peter, do appreciate that. And Refine says cheers and most welcome. Japa Daddy, hey, that's a pretty cool name. Hi there, very new here, and I have a question. Would it be possible to sacrifice any coins like meme ERC20 coins? So there is a particular list of meme coins. You can do like Shiba Inu and stuff. That was definitely sacrificed last time. We're going to go into the list here. Bam, it's a breakdown. So these were the top coins we had. Obviously Hex, USDC, USDT. They were, USD stable coins were up really high. Link. We had Rat Bitcoin, DAI, Uni, Aave. We did have, there was some Shiba Inu and stuff. There's obviously Dogecoin, if you consider that a meme coin. So, but a lot of the coins that people sacrificed were pretty full on. But a lot of people sacrificed a lot of small tokens, a lot of meme coins. Shiba Inu was definitely in there from memory. So I imagine that in the distribution file they would be compensating that, but I haven't actually seen any of that specifically myself, so I don't want to count that out. But pretty much anything that got sacrificed probably got distribution. But let us know in the chat if you're aware of any of those type of tokens. So I'm not absolutely aware of that, so I don't want to play my hand on that one. But these are definitely the percentages that were played out in the leadership board, so you can see the top ones there as well. So BTC obviously pretty big, 18 million in there. BSC, BCH, ADA or XRP, EOS, they're kind of the bigger ones there. The Litecoin, so that gives you an idea there. All right, very cool. Let me see how we're going. Hour and 15 minutes. Hey, we're almost about to wrap up, folks. You know how I roll. I like to pretty much maybe an hour and 20 minutes is probably where I go. Hey, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, hit the bell, of course, especially subscribe because I'm trying to hit 2,000 subs today. It's been a really cool ride, and it seems like a good one to hit today. And yeah, started at 1945. So let's see if I can get within 24 hours, get another 55 or whatever it is. Easy says, or swap it to USDC. You could swap to USDC if you want to protect the value. That's a really good question, Easy. So the key thing is you're trying to maximize your USDC value. And of course, the earlier you get in there, you're going to get the 10,000 points per $1. And of course, at the beginning, and also if the bonus is another multiplier, then the bigger that you put in, the better. So the better USDC value you get in, the better. So obviously, if Hex price will change over time. Obviously, when the Pulsechain sacrifice, the best days were the first 3 days, but that may or may not repeat this time. We just don't know. That behavior will repeat, and of course, so yeah, I imagine that earlier is better. Earlier is better pretty much is going to be your best play in terms of sacrifice. Japa Daddy says, thanks so much for your information. Yeah, big strong arm there. And PSS, review the poll up to 135 votes. Hey, thanks, PS Joe. I had remembered the poll and then I forgot it just temporarily. So I'm so thankful that PS Joe reminded me. Let's get into the poll. We're going to close that out and let us get in there. Man, oh man, 138 votes, folks. Let's end the poll. Here we go. I'm going to end that, and that's cool. Hey. Let me have a look here. So that's going to pull up there. Mike says, thank you. When you next live? So I'm going to pretty much doing lives every day. So starting for today. So tomorrow I'll probably do a live at this time or a couple of hours from now. So hopefully that works there, Mike. I actually might just do the time now during the day. Probably better for me than doing it later in my evening. Before I was doing it about 10 o'clock my time in the evening, but I might actually do it earlier in the day, like around now. I think it's probably best, but thanks, Mike. So hopefully that helps. Let me get into the poll here. So how much do you intend to sacrifice? Let me just get into the, what happened there? I lost my, I've just lost my screen there. Let me just update that. All right, so how much do you intend to sacrifice? USDC crypto equivalent for the PulseX sacrifice under $5,000 is 45% of 139 votes. So pretty awesome. So let's do the math on that. So 0.45 times 139. So 63 people are going to sacrifice under 5K. And hey, if you're sacrificing even $50, $100, that would be very good if you're going to get a huge X return on that. You know, let's say a 10x, 100x, 1000x, 10,000x. Any X's on $50 is a pretty good return. So just take that into account. Yeah, very cool. All right, so 6 to 20,000, 28%. So 28 times 139. And so we got about 39 people. 39 people looking to sacrifice 6 to 20,000 US dollars, and very cool. And we got 51k is actually bigger than the 21 to 50k. Wow, so that's really cool. And so we got 13% times 139 is 18 people looking to sacrifice over 51k. So really cool to see you guys in the house. It's kind of your I guess what your dolphin shark type levels, or maybe dolphin shark type levels. Very cool. And then we've got 12% is looking at 21 to 50k, and so times 139. And that's about 17 people, give or take. So very cool results there. Big shout out. Hopefully that's been useful to you guys as well. That we looked at the Pulsechain sacrifice numbers. We looked at got the poll here for what people intend to do. So that's very exciting. Very cool. All right, so we're going to wrap up in a second. And we've got I'm good at 5 a.m. here in Portugal, but it's worth to stay up late and share the hype with everyone. Absolutely, I'm with you on that. I love the community. It's really exciting. You can see the community is growing really fast. We're about to hit 400,000 wallets on Hex. So you can imagine Pulsechain. Telegram is ginormous too. I think the last time I checked, it was it up somewhere around 60,000 or something or more. Really is cool. And of course, PulseX has started up and all sorts of stuff. Mike Total says 500,000. Says Mike's very cool. Nice. All right, so this is an hour and 20 minutes, folks. That's pretty much going to wrap up. I'm going to say cheers, everybody. Hope you guys had a great Christmas and Boxing Day. Really enjoy yourself during the sacrifice phase, as well as your time off up to New Year's Eve and New Year's Day party and all the early January. Obviously, up in the Northern Hemisphere, then you probably may have some sort of snowy winter, which will be pretty fun. Obviously, down under in New Zealand, it is smoking hot now as we're heading in towards summer. Very hot, sunny days. Really cool. So onwards and upwards. I will catch you tomorrow in the daily vid, as well as a live streaming tomorrow as well, and probably a similar time as today. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care out there. Like, subscribe, share, hit the bell, and if you leave a comment after the live stream, I always answer the comments. So get into that and do that. Very cool. All right, take care. Bye for now.